The film opens in the dim, humming underground bunker complex in Greenland, 5 years after the comet strike. Flickering fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows on concrete walls lined with bunk beds and makeshift shelves stocked with dwindling canned goods. The air feels stale, thick with a metallic tang of recycled oxygen and faint echoes of dripping water from overhead pipes. John Garrity, Gerard Butler, wakes to the low rumble of machinery, his calloused hands rubbing stubble as he listens to the muffled chatter of survivors, children's laughter mixing with adults' weary sighs. Visuals show families huddled around communal tables, eating grayish rations that taste like cardboard soaked in salt, the clink of plastic utensils punctuating tense conversations about surface radiation levels. Allison, Maureen Baccarin, strokes their teenage son Nathan's, Roman Griffin Davis, hair, her touch soft but urgent, while Nathan scrolls a battered tablet displaying outdated maps, the screen's glow illuminating his frustrated scowl. A public announcement crackles over tinny speakers, warning of supply shortages, the voice distorted and echoing like a ghost in the vents. Suddenly, the ground shudders, first a subtle vibration humming through boots, then escalating to a deep, bone-rattling quake that sends trays crashing and dust sifting from ceilings. Screams pierce the air, sharp and panicked, as red emergency lights pulse, bathing faces in bloody crimson. John grabs his family, the acrid smell of sparking electronics filling nostrils as they sprint down buckling corridors. Chaos erupts as the bunker fractures, walls groan like splintering wood, and the floor tilts violently, flinging bodies against jagged metal. The air grows choked with plaster dust, gritty on tongues and stinging eyes, while the roar of collapsing rock drowns out cries, a thunderous cascade that vibrates chests. John shields Allison and Nathan, his muscles straining against the push of fleeing crowds, sweat beading cold on skin amid the chill draft from widening fissures. They reach a lifeboat chamber, the hiss of hydraulic doors releasing a blast of pressurized air smelling of oil and rust. Inside the cramped pod, straps bite into shoulders as it launches with a jolt, engines whining high-pitched. Through a small porthole, blurred visuals of the bunker imploding in slow-motion billows of debris, sparks flying like fireflies. The pod bobs in dark underground waters, the slosh of waves lapping metal hulls, cold spray misting faces. Voices murmur in relief, breaths ragged and hot in the confined space, until they surface into a ravaged Greenland twilight, wind howling fiercely, carrying the sharp bite of ash and frozen earth. Emerging onto cracked ice fields under a bruised purple sky, the survivors gasp at the frigid wind whipping faces raw, carrying flakes of irradiated snow that tingle on skin like static. Footsteps crunch on brittle ground as the group assembles, silhouettes against distant glowing auroras, beautiful yet ominous, humming faintly like distant electricity. John reunites with stragglers, embraces firm and backslapping, voices hoarse with exhaustion sharing tales of narrow escapes. The scientist, Amber Rose Riva, appears, her lab coat torn and dirt-streaked, eyes wide and urgent. She sketches on a salvaged notepad, pencil scratching urgently, explaining in clipped tones how the massive crater in southern France, formed by Clark's largest fragment, might harbor geothermal warmth, fresh water bubbling mineral-rich, shielded from radiation flares by its depth. Visuals flash on her tablet, satellite remnants showing a yawning pit amid ruined Europe, steam rising like breath. Hope flickers in weary faces, murmurs of agreement tasting bittersweet amid the dry crunch of emergency protein bars passed around. The group resolves to migrate south, the decision settling heavy like the gathering storm clouds overhead. They trek across Greenland's scarred tundra, boots sinking into slushy snow that numbs toes, the wind's icy howl piercing parkas with a relentless knife-edge chill. Distant booms echo, aftershocks or storms, vibrating through ground and guts. Rucksacks chafe shoulders, straps digging red welts as they scavenge frozen wreckage. Canned fish pried open with knives, metallic and oily on tongues. Nathan complains softly, voice cracking with teen angst, while Allison's hand squeezes John's, warm despite the cold. They commandeer snow vehicles, engines sputtering to life with a throaty growl, exhaust fumes sharp and diesel sour. Visuals blur by, shattered bunkers half buried, skeletal animal remains crunching under treads. A radiation storm hits, sky crackling violet, air ionizing with ozone tang, forcing them to huddle under tarps that flap violently, static buzzing skin like angry bees. It passes, leaving ears ringing and nerves frayed. Vehicles grind to a shattered coast, waves crashing black and frothy below cliffs, salt spray misting upward in briny gusts. They lash together rafts from debris, ropes coarse and fraying in numb fingers, the seas roar a constant thunder. Boarding, the pitch and roll churn stomachs, bile rising acrid as horizons tilt wildly. Saltwater soaks clothes, heavy and clinging, wind whipping hair into eyes. Nathan retches over the side, the splash lost in waves. Allison comforts him with whispers lost to gales. Night falls, stars obscured by radiation haze glowing faintly green, the raft creaking ominously. Predatory fish, mutated shadows, snap at hulls, teeth scraping with gritty rasps. Dawn breaks gray, Europe's jagged outline emerging like a scar. They beach on British shores, shingle crunching underfoot, air thick with rot from beached leviathans, flesh bloated and reeking like spoiled meat. Ruined motorways stretch inland, weeds thrusting through cracks, silent under overcast skies. The group pushes on foot, breaths puffing white, scavenging boarded-up shops for stale biscuits crumbling dry. Liverpool looms, skeletal towers silhouetted against smoke plumes, distant gunfire popping sharp. Trigger-happy troops man barricades, rifles glinting, shouts barked through megaphones distorted and echoing. Bullets whiz hot and whistling past ears, concrete chips stinging like hail. John negotiates frantically, voice raw, but a survivor bolts, panic rippling, and shots ring out, blood spraying warm and coppery, screams raw-throated. The group scatters into alleys fetid with garbage decay, hearts pounding thunderous. Fleeing south, they reach the English Channel's dry bed, vast emptiness of cracked mud flats stretching to France, wind moaning through the void. Vehicles rumble across, dust devils swirling gritty veils that choke throats. France's ruins greet them, toppled Eiffel shadows, streets choked with rusted cars smelling of burned rubber. A massive chasm yawns ahead, earthquake-born, depths swirling fog thick and clammy. A rope bridge sways precariously, cables frayed and creaking under weight, planks splintering with each step. Wind howls through gaps, vertigo twisting guts as abyssal blackness beckons below. Nathan freezes midway, knees buckling, Allison's coaxing voice trembling. John hauls him, arms burning, the bridge whipping like a lash. Post-chasm, exhaustion weighs limbs like lead, breaths ragged in humid air laced with distant fire smoke. Bandits ambush from rubble, ragged figures howling feral, blades glinting, the clash of metal ringing sharp amid grunts and thuds. Blood slicks hands warm, a companion gurgles final breaths gurgling wet. Victorious but bloodied, they stumble into a French village hideout. A family welcomes them, hearth fire crackling warm, wood smoke curling fragrant with herbs. Stew simmers savory, rabbit and roots earthy on tongues, shared around a scarred table, laughter tentative. The daughter Camille, Nelia Valero da Costa, eyes Nathan shyly, her hair improbably perfect, perfume faint floral cutting decay. Night deepens in the shelter, fire pops softly, casting dancing shadows on walls papered peeling. Nathan and Camille whisper by candlelight flickering golden, her laughter light and musical, hands brushing electric. Jealousy flickers in Allison's glance, unspoken tension humming. Dawn brings farewells. The family insists Camille join, her bag light-packed, goodbye hugs firm and tear-salted. The group treks onward, her steps light amid heavier footfalls, landscape shifting to vineyards wild and trampled, air ripening with crushed grapes. Southern France unfolds in desolation, Hills pocked with sinkholes, roads buckled waving like cloth. Radiation storm brews, sky boiling bruise purple, air ionizing sharp with ozone bite. They dive into a cave, rocks cool and damp, echoes amplifying thunder cracks outside. Huddled, breaths sink in darkness pierced by flashlight beams jittering yellow. Storm rages, winds howl muffled, ground quakes subtly. It ebbs, leaving skin tingling, nerves jangling like wires. The crater rim nears, vast bowl steaming faintly, edges crumbling under boots in showers of pebbles rattling. Air warms humid, sulphurous whiffs rising like hell's breath. Ropes uncoil, descent slick with sweat, muscles screaming. Visuals plunge into misty depths, geothermal vents hissing steam hot and mineral, pools bubbling iridescent. Hope surges, water clear and cold tasting, caves echoing with potential life. At the bottom, bioluminescent fungi glow soft blue, air fresh with moss and earth reborn. The Garrities embrace, tears salt-warm, Nathan and Camille sharing a kiss tentative sweet. John surveys the haven, voice steady promising rebuild. Fade out on crater paradise, but a distant rumble hints more threats, winds carrying faint, ominous howls. Credits roll over swelling score triumphant yet tense.